Okay, the I can for today is I can compare whole numbers up to 1,000. So before we start to compare the values, let's look at some symbols. So this is the less than symbol. This is the greater than symbol. And this is the equal to symbol. So less than, greater than, and equal to symbol. So before we move on to actually comparing whole numbers, two quick tricks to try to remember the difference between these two, because they obviously look very different than the equal to, but they look similar, right? So when you're looking at less, if you think of it as a connect the dots, the side which has more dots has the greater value. So this would be 3 and 2 because this side has more dots than this side. So 1 dot versus 2 dots, this side is always greater than this side. Another way to remember this symbol I like to do is kind of spelling out the word less. So it's like a crooked L. So this is less than. This symbol is less than. And I know with 1 dot, 2 dots on the right side, 1 dot is left, and then less than. All right, let's practice reading just some random order of less than and greater than symbols. Again, we're not doing equal to because it's pretty different. Okay, you want to practice reading these symbols like they're words. Let's practice. Let's read it together. Less than, greater than, less than, less than, less than, greater than, less than, greater than, less than, greater than, greater than, less than, greater than, less than. So you can do that by yourself. Practice writing a random string of less than or greater than symbols. And if you can read them like they're words, then you're really good at it. All right, let's compare the two values 5,734 and 5,804. Now, the most important thing when you're comparing two values is to line up the place value. I might have two giraffes here. They look like they could be of similar height, right? But if you line up their actual starting point, you can see obviously this one's taller than this one. But if you don't line up their starting point, they look like they're the same height. So just like with the giraffes, with whole numbers, you want to make sure you line up the starting point, which is the ones place. When we're comparing two values, you always want to look at the greater place value or the greatest place value to compare the two. So look at the two, 5 and 5. 5,000s and 5,000s is the same, so I like to put a check mark up top. Let's look at the next greatest place value, which is the hundreds. 7 is less than 8. So right away I know that this value is greater than that value. I like to circle the value that's greater. And then I'll rewrite it underneath as 5,734 is less than 5,804. And I can use the other symbol greater than, so 5,804 is greater than 5,734. So when you're using the two symbols, just make sure you have a way to remember, strategy to remember the difference between the two because they look so similar. And when you're lining up the place values, then you know you can accurately compare the two whole numbers. Circle the one that's greater, and then rewrite the two numbers comparatively using the greater than, less than symbol.